Hey, you, wherever you are right now, thank you so much for being here with me today. We know that we live in some volatile times and we know that the world is changing. So let's create a bridge as we travel through one another's countries, removing all the labels, coming together as one people, finding our home in one world. And as we do this, this is why our signature talk today is so important. I'm so excited to welcome my guest speaker today, Scott Manduck. He is a friend from Canada, and we've already done an interview previously where he's interviewed me, and I'm excited to interview him today. And I really just want to say thank you so much because I'm so excited to have you here today, Scott, because I know you have a wealth of information our audience could definitely use. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm so excited. That was such a great intro. That was so good.
Yeah, so Scott is with us from Canada, as I said, and Scott, you have an amazing, amazing story, an amazing journey with you and your family, especially your wife. And as we have this conversation today, I would just, encourage you to really engage us in a lot of information around how this process started for you and help our audience understand it. I know your story, but we want to make sure that they have a clear idea of what's happened in your life. So why don't we just get started from the top? So like take us back a few years back when this all started for you and what exactly are we talking about? Because I'm really creating a mystery here.
Yes, you are. I love it. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
What,
dun.
what we're going to be talking about is self-directed healthcare and how that came to be in our life, as this was not a normal situation that we're living in today, which we call self-directed healthcare in our family and what we do and we educate around the world now. Our normal world 11 years ago was I've been running my own business for many, many years. I'm in the printing and marketing space for 25 plus years. I've worked with Google, Microsoft, Disney, Adidas, Nike, Toyota, you name all the big brands. That was my world. And I lived that world 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. This was my life. I have two amazing kids. They're now 13 and 11. My wife, she just turned 50. She was an ultrasound tech, a sonographer in very popular hospitals here in Toronto, Canada. And about 10 and a half years ago, our world changed a little bit. And as our world is changing now, and it will continue to change in different directions and pivots here, there, wherever, I want you to welcome that because that is where education happens. We really now say life is a school, and it truly is because you're always learning, you're always finding new things out, good and bad. It's just how you deal with them and how you react and change your path for the better, we hope. That will really change your life and your kids' life and the way that you operate. So jumping into that, about 11 years ago, my wife started having some weird, odd symptoms that turned into bigger ailments down the road. And a lot of those had to do with when you're a sonographer, an ultrasound tech, if you will, you always have a sore shoulder, sore neck, because you've been doing it for so long. There's long hours, you're always in a weird position and stuff like that. So that was just a normal, it's like, okay, it's just an ultrasound shoulder, whatever, we'll just put it off to that. We'll see, get some massage done, maybe get some acupuncture done, maybe even chiro done. And we're going through those hoops. And what was starting to happen is more ailments and more symptoms started to pile up on top of them because we didn't know what was really happening. So the sore shoulder turned into headaches, turned into migraines, turned into fogginess, turned into eye pressure, eye soreness, loss of muscle mass started to happen, nerve pain to the degree. Do you know when you sleep on your arm and you start to wake up and it's sore for about 6-7 seconds? That was her entire body for years,
Wow.
right? Head to toe. So then obviously foot pain, back pain, joint pain, all these started to compile on top of those other symptoms. And we started going through the typical routine a normal person would happen in North America, if you will, is you see your family doctor, you get blood work, you get an ultrasound, you get a CAT scan, you get an MRI, you see a neurologist, and you start going around. And with that, because they're doing the best they can to really truly help you. And they are, to the best of their ability in understanding what your ailments and symptoms are. They start prescribing you different things to try to help deal with those symptoms and ailments. So with all that happening, and now being on Lyrica, which is a nerve blocking agent, literally, right? Percocet, painkillers, antidepressants, because anytime that your body's in that sort of mode, we call it fight or flight mode, literally, you start going down the rabbit hole of depression, right? Anxiety kicks in and all these other ailments start adding on top of it. So it was getting pretty bad. And when she was, I think, 41, 42, somewhere around that time, her walking up, we have about 10 stairs from our main floor to our second floor, maybe 11 stairs. And for her to go from one step to the next was literally like step, you wait a few seconds, next step, wait a few seconds, next step. It was like, there's no way that this is going to be our life. You're 41, 42 years old, and you're walking up the stairs like you're 150. It can't be. So we started researching and obviously talking to our practitioners and listening to what they had to say, listening to their feedback. Like, I know it doesn't really resonate with us. We'll try some stuff, but let's keep on researching. So we start researching at home. And this is where the self-directed healthcare term that we use a lot in our house really came to be, is we started researching everything we possibly can on all those different symptoms and ailments and started looking for answers on our own. And the reason I'm telling you that part is it's so important for you to understand what's going around in your space and what's going on in your body. You understand your body best than anybody. You really truly feel and understand what's happening. You may not know the medical terms or the health reasons, but you know that something is off. And that should be the trigger for you to go, I need to look into this on my own. And what we did, we kind of laugh at it now, is we turned to Dr. Google and Dr. Facebook, right? And we laugh at it because it's like there's a lot of really good information and a lot of bad information. The cool part is you can choose what's good and what's bad and what resonates with you, right? As long as you're in the mindset of, I'm not going to keep on piling on medications on my own, right? And you can start trying different things to try to help yourself, right? Getting rid of sugars, getting rid of inflammation type foods. You're like, oh, that's a thing? Are you kidding me? So it's like, okay. So we came across this ad that was in Facebook, and I hate ads in Facebook. They drive me bonkers. Like, I'm that person that goes in and go, nope, don't display ad. Why? Because you're annoying. Like, it's just bad. It just drives me nuts. So anyways, this amazing book by Dr. Amy Myers, The Autoimmune Solutions, came across. So my wife got that book. She read through it and she was like, oh, this resonates with me. This makes sense. It literally makes sense. Of course, within the book, she's trying to sell you on these other items, which she has a lot of good books. So she's introducing these other books, right? But if you take the nuggets out of that book where 80% of ailments are typically from inflammation in our body, that's a good start for us as society. With so much crap that we're dealing with, we need to go, yeah, let's reduce our inflammation. So with this, we start going through the book. So reducing, obviously, like tomatoes. So go to Google and type in high inflammation foods. Research it. Self-directed, right, people? So look it up, high inflammation foods. Start thinking about this, is because the food that you put in your body is medicine. It's the fuel that the Lamborghini needs to run, right? Yeah. And you can talk to nutritionists. We talked to two separate nutritionists. They're different. Everyone's body is different. What you need and what someone else's needs are could be left and right, apples and oranges, literally. And the reason I'm telling this is because we tried the vegetarian, we tried go vegan, and it was literally killing my wife, right? So what I'm saying is you need to figure out what's right for you in your body and the fuel that it needs. So my wife needed a little bit of red meat, a little bit of chicken, not a lot, not huge portions, but enough for her body to go, okay, yeah, perfect. This is what I needed. And then of course, lots of veggies and fruits and stuff like this, but it's gotta be the right veggies and the right fruits. right? So like tomatoes, kale, legumes, almonds, all these are high inflammation foods, but they're also in high oxalates, right? High oxalates also have similar triggers as high inflammation, right? So if you're dealing with stuff and ailments, you really need to look into what you're eating and what you're drinking, right? Another big one is obviously water, of course, good quality water, right? You need to look at that because there's a lot of stuff that's in our waters, and you need to be aware of these things, right? Where we were not, and because our water wasn't as where it should be, my wife kept on getting gastric ulcers. So we had to put a system in place in our house where our water was, we call it now drinkable, where before it was drinkable, we just didn't know what we were drinking, right?
Right.
So that's a big part of it. And when we started going down that road, and after a few weeks of basically watching what she was eating in a way of changing the way that we eat, getting rid of gluten, caffeines, sugars, alcohols, and stuff like this, where these are not natural products, where our body naturally wants natural things, it became really, really clear that our body was like, this is good. We're going to start making some shifts for you. Thank you, right? That your body's thanking you. So with that, all that tingling nerve pain that I was telling you about started to subside, right? Because her body was full of inflammation. We didn't really know it, right? She's not like she's a big lady. So it's not like she's 5'7", she's 250 pounds, right? She's 5'7", she was 135 pounds. So you couldn't really tell that she was full of inflammation, but inflammation sits in your body in weird ways, right? So pay attention to this, right? So start with reducing your inflammation a little bit. And then going down this journey, we're like, she had 2 root canals done. This part just blows my mind. Like even today, like even though this happened many years ago, even talking about it today still blows my mind because of a documentary that we found that came across our feed in Facebook. Because we were talking about dentistry, about root canals, about how our teeth were hurting. And when that was happening, of course, weird stuff happens in Facebook. You start to see ads, right? It's just the way it works, which is okay. We came across a documentary called The Root Cause. This documentary, The Root Cause, was taking off of Netflix because the Dental Association wasn't having too much fun with it. Put it lightly. So we started watching this documentary, and I was at the office, funny enough, and my wife calls me. She's like, I just watched this. You need to watch this. We're going to have supper tonight in front of the TV. We're going to watch it. She was all excited because it was literally her life story of what was happening, right? So if you're dealing with stuff and weird ailments and you can't really figure out what it is, watch the documentary. It's great information. And what it is, I'll give you this Coles Notes version, it has to do with root canals. Root canals that are in your mouth, when you take out your teeth and they take the roots out and they put screws back in, what they're not telling you is they don't fill that little gap at the end of your teeth or the end of that screw. And when that happens, remember people, it's in your mouth. It's warm, it's moist, and a root canal, they leave a small dead part of the skin inside that root canal. It's a breeding ground for bacteria and not the good kind we want in our body, right? So if you think about that and picture that, over time, she was always saying, it just feels weird. My tooth feels weird. It feels like it's swollen, it's inflammation. We go back, we get an x-ray. We go see another dentist, we get an x-ray. We go see another dentist, get an x-ray. 3 different dentists, 3. Not one of them picked up that there's bacteria growing underneath her root canal until we found something in Google. We're typing in inflammation, soreness, by root canal. Oh, check this out. There's actually a proper scan that you can get, and it's called a bone beam scan, like a cone scan, which is like an MRI for your mouth, and it looks for bacteria. So like, are you kidding me? So we looked this up in Google, bone scan near me. It's like, okay, yeah, there's one half hour down the road. Let's hook it up. Lo and behold, what we found is that she had, like when we actually had it, before we found out that she had bacteria in her mouth. She's like, okay, now what? So then it's like, well, you need a holistic dentist to remove it. We're like, An holistic dentist? What the heck is that? That's a thing? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? An holistic dentist actually, that's a place that you go to deal with your teeth. What's wrong with a dentist? So the difference between the two, we were like, this just doesn't make sense. So lo and behold, when you have that type of bacteria and you go to extract it, you want to make sure that all that bacteria doesn't get lodged into your mouth and back into your body because it's very dangerous. It's like, okay. So we go there, we get it removed. Lo and behold, when we had those two teeth extracted, the size of the bacteria that was connected to that screw was the size of my pinky nail.
Oh my goodness.
That was lodged in her jaw for 5 years. 5 years of bacteria growing in her body. Now, if you remember all those ailments that I was talking about, now on top of that, she needs to detox all this bacteria in her body. We're like, oh my grace, this is not good, right? So then, okay, so where can we figure out what type of bacteria she's dealing with? Because then we can potentially get antibiotics, we can do different things to help kill that bacteria off and detox it, right? Lo and behold, nowhere in Canada, you can get a biopsy done of a tooth. It just doesn't exist. So we had to send it to the States. So we sent it to the States, paid the $800, got a report 2 weeks later. She had 16 different types of bacteria that were lodged in her jaw. 16. And this is not the good bacteria that you want. So it's like, okay, this is, at least we now know what we're dealing with. And when she had it extracted that night when she slept, her eye pressure was reduced by about 80%. Her fogginess was gone by about 80%, right? The stiffness in the back of her neck was down by about 60 to 70%. This is from her teeth, from the two teeth being removed. Like, are you kidding me? So the more research we do is we find out that your teeth are like the breakers to your body. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? She's like, yeah, your teeth are connected to different parts of your organs and stuff like that. I'm like, okay. So then we're talking to this holistic dentist, and all the other practitioners always told that my wife was having issues with her liver, detoxing and functionality. Take a wild guess what two teeth are connected to her liver.
those
Those
teeth.
two teeth.
Wow.
Once they're removed, within about a month, what do you think starts working a little bit better?
Yeah.
Right? Starting to heal itself, right? Because our bodies are designed to heal itself, right? As long as we give our body the right tools, our body will self-heal. But it's giving us the right tools that our body needs to do that. And that's what we're now finding out. So we're down this holistic rabbit hole now. It's like, this is the winning ticket. Talking to our practitioners, but also doing it holistically, we start finding some good results. So going through this, we're like, okay, we have this out. Now we need to make sure it doesn't get infected. This is when our friend introduced us to essential oils. We're like, okay. And at that point, I'm skeptical, like beyond belief. I'm like, get these snake oils things out of here. I don't want this because it's not, what the heck is an essential oil going to do to help us? Really? Come on, people, right? Because it's just not mainstream. It's not a thing that we go to CVS or Walgreens or Walmart's or Shoppers Drug Mart or whatever to get prescriptions, whatever. It's not that. So how can that work, right? Thinking the mind shift.
Yep.
So going through this, my wife started to use a little bit of essential oils here and there. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's not going to do anything. It just smells pretty. And then we had, as we call it, the aha moment, where it was kind of a slap in the back of the head and a shoe in the mouth for me, because I realized the powers of essential oils in an instance. And it's a little of an emotional story because of how it happened, but I'm glad it happened because it opened our eyes to a much bigger world. And as I was saying before, I've been running my own business for a long, long time. And I work long hours, and it was around 11:30 at night, and I'm sitting downstairs watching a movie, and both kids are asleep. My wife is taking a bath with some Epsom salt, part of her detox stuff that she's working on. And I hear some crying. I'm like, that's odd. So I go upstairs, check the kids. It's obviously not the kids. I go into our bedroom, and my wife is on basically all fours in fetal position, bawling her eyes out in pain. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And she's like, just give me a second. I'm like, no. What's going on? Are you okay? Am I phoning the ambulance? Like, is it that okay? Or give me a second, like I'll be okay. Don't phone the ambulance. So it was like, just give me a second. So it's like, okay. So I'm thinking to myself, once again, every second matters. I'm calling the ambulance. I don't care what you say. I start walking over there. She's like, no, just give me a second. It's like, okay. Because she knows as soon as she gets there, they're going to probably put more antibiotics in her and stuff like that, which may cause more issues, blah, blah, blah. She's already thinking that, right? And so it's like, okay. So at our bedside, we have some essential oils and some carrier oil. So I remember that we should be using carrier oil before we put the essential oils on her. And me being a guy, as most men do, just throwing it out there, guys, whoever's listening, is we don't listen all the time. We, out of a full sentence, we'll capture maybe a couple of those words, right? And I was lucky enough that those were the two that I remembered, or I would get in big trouble. But anyways, so it's like, okay, I'll throw some carrier oil. So I grabbed the bottle, squeezed the carrier oil in my hand. It went all over me, all over the floor. I was like, are you kidding me? And it's like, whatever. So I grabbed some lemongrass and I grabbed some lavender. I started rubbing on her belly and it was going around to her lower back. And it was like, okay. I said, I hope this helps, but it's not going to do anything. I'm going to phone the ambulance. Like, just give me a second. So it was about maybe 45 seconds, maybe a minute that I waited, which was in like hours when everything's working in slow motion like that. And she sat up. And I'm like, so what's going on? You okay? And I'm a little bit of a jokester, right? So it's funny because I was like, so did you toot? She's like, no. Why would you say that? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it was gas pains. What the heck, man? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, so what's going on? Like, do you want me to drive you to the hospital? It's like literally a 10-minute drive, not even. She's like, no. I'm like, so you okay now? She's like, I think so. I'm like, okay. So she stands up, we're talking. And at that moment, it was like a big club in the back of the head. It's like, you realize you just put essential oils on her and it helped with something. I didn't know what it was because we didn't know what it was. And I'm like, okay. So that was a big trigger for me because she was in the point of pain of tears and us not going to emerge. I put essential oils on her and she's now sitting up talking to me. I need to understand more about essential oils, what they are, how they work, how they affect us in the body and stuff like that. That's the way my brain's now going, just flowing through this quickly. And we didn't use medication. We didn't use any kind of weird stuff like that or creams or anything like that. So it's like, I need to understand this. And that was my moment where I was like, okay, I need to, remember, I'm a marketer, right? To myself. So I market it to myself. So I built myself a website to understand what each product can do, how it works in the body, and how it affects our body, right? So going through this research, I started figuring out that not all essential oils are created equal as well, which was kind of scary because, once again, back to the marketing, it's all about branding on the front of those products that we see, right? So when I'm doing this, I'm like, you kidding me? Wait a second. So the natural cleaning solutions that we use to clean our house, are they really natural? Are they organic as they say they are? I'm like, come on, there's no way. I'm like, shoot. So I got home from work, kids got home from school. I'm like, okay, kids, go to the bathroom upstairs, go to our bathroom upstairs. I'm gonna go to the basement. I'm gonna go to our kitchen, go to our laundry room. I want you to pull all the cleaning solutions we have in the house and bring them all to the table. I'm like, what? What's wrong with you? I'm like, oh, let's do a family exercise. This is gonna be fun. They're like, really? It's like, yeah, come on, let's go. So we pulled all those cleaning solutions to our kitchen table. And I said, now turn all the bottles backwards. They're like, what? Like, what are you doing, Dad? Like, what's going on? I'm like, I want to see something. I want to do it together as a family. Lo and behold, every cleaning solution that we had in the house had chemicals, fillers, pesticides, and tons of crap in them. Every single one of them. So going through the essential oils and understanding how you can breathe something in affects your cellular structure. What you put on your skin, your biggest membrane in your body, affects your cellular structure. And what you put internally, we all know affects us at the cellular level. So I'm like, I want to know what we're using to clean the floors, the glass, the mirror, the tables, the hardwood versus the tile, the toilets, the showers, the tubs. Like, what are we doing? Right? Our laundry, our shampoo, our conditioner, our toothpaste, our mouthwash, right? My kids thought I was crazy. But when your body's in fight or flight mode, people, you need to understand that your body wants natural things. Anything more than that, your body needs to detox it. It needs to deal with it. That's when the trigger hit huge. That all these things around us, they're toxins and chemicals that affect us on the cellular level. Once we started looking at that, it was a whole new world for us because her health started to increase rapidly, like rapidly, because her body no longer had to detox all these extra chemicals, and we're now feeding her body natural products like essential oils, if they're therapeutic grade essential oils and distilled and grown properly with no fillers, her body started to react in a positive way.
That's incredible. There's so much to talk to. I mean, this whole story is incredible. The process and the journey that you've taken, I think so many people can relate to, because how many times do you Google something when you feel off? And what I love about the conversations we've had offline is, I'm someone who had a very unconventional childhood, and I grew up with my grandparents, and we ate out of a vegetable garden year round. We ate out of the freezer. We had canned goods. I didn't even know what a fast food restaurant was until I was an adult. And it's interesting because when I introduced that food to my body violently reacted, like literally violently reacted with vomiting. And it was very disturbing at the time, but I mean, it just goes to show you how much we are really wired to have organic, natural products in our body. But, to hear the environmental piece of it, I mean, there's just so many pieces of your story that are so powerful, but the environmental piece of it is huge as well. Again, I romped around in the state forest, like literally my childhood was playing in the woods, and just the grounding properties of Mother Earth and the healing properties of all of that. And I notice even for myself when I'm in the woods and I'm grounding or, getting my physical body restored, and I come back into a situation where I'm in the suburbia of a major metropolitan city, it is a physical response because your body has been reset. And then it's like you get this wham of, you feel it, you feel the heaviness in your chest, you feel it, just all around you.
Absolutely.
And I think, what people really, I think people know this on a very innate part of them, but they don't know how to tap into it a lot of times, because it's like everywhere you look, you have cell phone towers and you've got, these products in the grocery. And for some families, it's cheaper to buy those cheaper items to feed their family
Absolutely.
than to pay a little bit more money. But then what are you really paying for, right? So,
Absolutely.
I mean, can you talk to that a little bit? I think that's probably a good topic to talk about.
Absolutely, because it's funny because you mentioned two really important things there. One is you're up in the mountains and your body was resetting. What does that mean, right? Think about that. You're out of the chemicals. What is the most polluted place in the world? Take a guess. It's our
Your
house.
cities,
It's
or
our
the house,
right?
yeah.
So you think about all the toxins and chemicals that are in our houses for all those cleaning solutions. That's why we did that family exercise, right? That's one. Two is the next part of what was going on in our life was EMFs, right? EMFs play a huge, huge part in our world, and people are still blinded by the results and the outcome at the cellular level of our bodies. Like, well, what's EMFs, right? So to give you an idea what EMFs are, right? I have a laptop right here. I have a 29-inch monitor right in front of me. I have a web camera. I have a light. right? I have a diffuser going, which has light and has power to it, right? I have a 29-inch iMac right beside me. I have a phone that's over there. I have a big window right beside me. These are all EMFs. This is radiation around us 24/7. So take all this out of my office. Do I still have EMF poisoning going on? Absolutely. I have Wi-Fi in my house and in my building, right? So say I get rid of that and I walk outside down the street. Do I still have EMF distortion and poisoning going on in my body? Absolutely, right? We have cell towers everywhere, right? 2G, 3G, 4G, LTE, same thing, and now 5G, right? These are being built to help technology, us to be more efficient and faster and all this sort of wonderful stuff. And I love it. I do, because without technology, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing today, right? But it needs to be done in a smart, healthy way. And we need to be able to protect ourselves from that, right? So what we're talking about is when you go out of the city and you're resetting, you're getting out of all that space. You're getting out of the toxins. You're out in the woods, right? You're getting out of the EMF distortion. If you have a very weak signal on your phone, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? That's what we want, right? Put your phone in airplane mode or turn it off or whatever it may be. That's what you want. That is your body resetting. Literally, your protons in your body are now starting to point back in the same direction, where with the EMF distortion in our body, it's going like a mad zigzag in your body, which causes ailments, and it builds up ailments in our body. It disrupts our nervous system. It disrupts our digestion. It suffocates our immune system, right? EMFs take the oxygen out of our blood. Think about that. That's mind-blowing.
Scary. And how many people literally are going to sleep with their cell phone on their nightstand next to their head?
Yep, more often than not. So speaking of cell phones alone, because this is a big one that everyone does. In your cell phone, if you go to the fine print, this is from the FDA. They say that the phone is okay to use from an FDA radiation standpoint if it's 10, it depends on the phone, depends on the size, blah, 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 10 to 15 millimeters away from your head. So pretend my hand is my cell phone. I need to be talking like this, like literally 10 to 15 millimeters away for it to be approved by the FDA. What does that tell you? How many people do you know in the world talk with the phone 10 to 15 millimeters away from them? Let's say it's 20% of the world, which I know it's not that high. Say it's 50% of the world, which we know it's not that high. The rest, the amount of radiation that they're getting to their brain is insane. On a study showed, this is a Harvard or Queens, I think it was a Harvard study. I'll have to look that up. I'm pretty sure it was a Harvard study that a 3-minute phone call, if you have the phone to your left ear, 3-minute phone call, the radiation will reach the inside of your left eye.
Oh my goodness.
Right? That's on an adult. So now the FDA, do you think they do testing on children?
I was just going to ask you about children. Yeah.
Right? Are their skulls the same thickness as an adult? Like the physical skull? No, it's thinner. So in that exact same phone call on a 15-year-old child, the same phone call, 3 minutes left ear, goes to the opposite side of the right eye in a 3-minute phone call.
Wow.
Why do you think our ADD, ADHD, and all these different syndromes, cancer, all these things are going through the roof? Right?
That's frightening, very frightening.
It's the amount of radiation and chemicals and toxic load on our bodies going through the roof. It's insane. We need to protect ourselves, right? So those little stickers that you put on your phone, they're not helping you. Think about this. Logically, you have a sticker that's an EMF protector stuck to your phone. You put that phone in your pocket, what is it going to do? It's going to bounce the EMF off that sticker right into you, right? That's step one. Step two, let's take your phone, throw it away. You no longer have a cell phone. Are you still getting hit with EMFs? Absolutely. Are you going to put the sticker on the forehead, on the back of your head, on your shoulder? Like, it's not, it doesn't make sense, right? So what we've done, what we came across, and this is part of the conversation you and I were talking about before, is because of what was happening with Andrea, my wife, and we're trying to get through all these different ailments and symptoms, reducing inflammation, remove toxins in our life, right? And then we started using essential oils every single day, right? Topically, internally, diffusers like nonstop in every room that we have, right? Because we know that if you breathe them in within 20 seconds, if you breathe them in topically or put them internally, it's going to hit the brain. Within 2 minutes, we know it's in our blood. We know in 20 minutes, it's in every cell in our body. This is important information. So with that in mind, she's coming out of this rabbit hole. She sees the light, she's feeling better. The last thing that she was really fighting was fatigue. She was always tired. That's how we came across all this EMF stuff. So we came across an inventor that adds frequencies into different products. And I'm like, what? So once again, same reaction that I had with the oils is with this frequency product because I didn't understand it, right? So what did I do? I have to test it. So the only way for me now to test things is at the cellular level. The way to do that is to get a live blood test analysis done, right? So if you want to know what that is, and if you're dealing with stuff, people, is look up live blood test analysis near me in Google. Find the closest one and go check it out. Because what you're going to see is some pretty cool, amazing things about you, about your blood on screen in front of you. It's not like getting a little prick in your finger, they fill up a tube, and then you get a piece of paper saying, this is what's in your blood, and you have no idea if it's true or not. You have no clue, right? The cool thing with a live blood test analysis is you can literally bring your phone in, record your blood on the screen in front of you while the technician tells you what's going on. You go home, you rewatch that like 10 times, because that's what you're going to do. That's what we did. And you're going to start looking this stuff up. Do your own research. And if it starts to resonate and go, holy crap, this makes sense, you now have a direction for you to go in. Where before you're like, I don't know, I have no idea. You just deal with the ailments. We don't want you there. We want you healthy, right? So once we did that, so we did a live blood test analysis before. We saw our blood all clumped up, moving very slowly. We saw parasites, we saw bacteria, we saw our immune system, we saw crystallization, we saw digestive proteins. We saw all this stuff in our blood that we're actually somewhat hydrated. You can see the nice bright ring around the actual cell, which is like, okay, not bad, not bad. Lo and behold, we take these frequency products, we have them on for 4 hours. Oh, the other thing we saw in our blood, was the clumping was also, they're called bottle capped, and it actually stacked like a little worm, right? I didn't know what that was. So when the technician was explaining to it, and then I did my own research, EMF poisoning, right?
Oh my goodness.
This is EMF distortion at the cellular level.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what triggered me. It's like, okay, so let me do this test before, put their products on, and let me do another test afterwards. Because if what he is telling me that frequencies, our bodies are vibrational frequency beings, which I did not know at the time, I was like, okay, sounds interesting. He's explained that when lightning hits the earth, that creates a frequency, a vibration called the Schumann resonance, which is 7.83 hertz. I was like, okay, I'm looking up on my phone. Yep, that's true. Makes sense. And then we find that it's Nikola Tesla's theory. Okay, sounds good. I'm thinking the car guy. I'm like, no, it's not the car guy. It's the actual scientist from way back in the day.
Yeah.
And that our body naturally vibrates at the Earth's frequency without all this distortion. And I'm like, okay, logically, I can see that, okay. But I want to see it affect me at the cellular level. I said, give me 3 products for free. I'll be back in 5 hours. He's like, no. I'm like, put your money where your mouth is. You say that it works, let me test it. I'll pay for all the testing, right? Pay for all the testing. What I saw at the end of this will blow your mind. The cells were separated. They're moving like a raging river. Parasites were 95% gone in 4.5 hours. Parasites can't grow in an oxygenated state to what we find, right? What does your immune system love? Oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, oxygen, immune system, boosting your immune system naturally, right? Not popping pills. This is great. So I put one on my wife. So we all bought one, me, my wife, and my 2 kids. It's like, okay. I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is kind of neat. And being an entrepreneur and running my own business, I said, I need to talk to the owner because I want more information. And we do natural products for the past 10.5 years. This is something else that I could use to help educate and help people around the world in a lot of the conversations that we do. Lo and behold, we started doing this. My wife, the first night, had the best sleep she had in years. Not only that, the big winner was that she had more energy. She was no longer taking naps during the day, right? Remember what EMFs do in radiation. They remove the oxygen from your blood, which makes you feel lethargic, right? Focus, that was a big part she was having problems with, right? Not anymore, right? She's starting to remember more things. She's no longer taking naps. She's now walking upstairs very quickly. We're now playing badminton. We're now playing basketball. We now go for bike rides. Our household hasn't been sick in just under 4 years. These are all good things that our body needs, people. Our body naturally wants natural things, right? So when I was done talking with this person, the salesperson, I said, I want to talk to the owner. He said, the owner will give you a show back. Perfect, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I've heard this story before. So I found him, I chased him down, and I ended up speaking with him. And it took us about 3 weeks. And I reached out to a good friend of mine, Chris, he's now my partner. And we actually bought into this company and rebranded this company because of what it's done to my family. And then I hired another live blood technician to come to my office. And I had 16 friends and family members do the same test that we did.
Wow.
Every single person had similar results where blood was clumped, parasites, bacteria, crystals, blah, blah, blah. They all also had all their own different ailments that they're dealing with. Blood was now starting to separate. It was moving faster. Parasites started to disappear. Ailments started to go away, right? A good ailment, which was a good friend of mine, Jim, he was diagnosed with extreme anxiety. He wasn't able to drive. Within 8 days, and this is his video testimonial on the website, is that it was reduced by 80% in 8 days. This is EMF distortion, people, and EMF poisoning at its best.
Yeah.
We need self-protection that we can wear around us 24/7, right? Not a sticker that goes on the devices, because those stickers are protecting that device. They're not protecting you, right? If you go into an airport, you go into a hospital, if you go into a clinic, you go into a mall, all these have a large amounts of radiation. Everywhere has 5G, 4G, Wi-Fi, cell phone towers, right? You're getting double dosed everywhere you go. You need to protect yourself. And this is what we're finding. So it's been an amazing, amazing educational, emotional journey. And she's not 100% better, but she's living a livable life now that is meaningful, and that we can get out into Mother Nature. We can bike ride. We can do these things where before we couldn't.
That's amazing. It sounds, the whole experience, it sounds like it's been a lot of work, but the result of it is just so incredible. And I know you didn't mention this, so I just want to, kind of circle back. So with the prescribed medications like the antidepressant and those kinds of things, I'm assuming based on her starting to feel better, that all also went away, right?
We're now 4 years with 0 medication and 0 chemicals in our house.
That's amazing.
All medication, Lyrica, Percocets, antidepressants, and there's one more pain one that she was taking. I can't remember the name of it. All those are gone.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that this stuff is going to cure you, people. What I want you to understand is that there are other tools out there that can help support your body system. Talk to your practitioners, let them know what's going on, let them know what you're doing, saying these are the things that I'm trying, because I want to get back to a natural way of living without feeding myself medication nonstop.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of practitioners are starting to open their eyes to integrative medicine, and they're starting to see this, right? They're starting to get it. Like there's a huge hospital that was just finished being built in Kentucky. It's $145 million. The whole first floor of this, it's a cancer hospital, huge hospital. The whole first floor is all holistic medicine. It's all essential oils and natural wellness. When you walk in, that is your first line of defense. It's not going into Emerge or anything like that. Why is this happening? Because there's power to natural wellness,
Yeah.
right? And we can actually have that in our house, right? So if you guys need information on this, reach out to one of us and we can help guide you on what we can do to help support you naturally at home and start self-directing you, right? And giving you the power, empowerment, self-empowerment to really start getting your body back into position to heal itself. That's truly what it is.
Yeah, and for the parents listening out there, Scott, I mean, you know, you talked briefly on the kids, and I know, as you said, like the anatomy of an adult is very different than of a child.
Yep.
So do parents have to have concern over, you know, their children in regards to the doses of, you know, oils or what it is the, you know, the environment is exposed with? I mean, because I know they're a lot more sensitive than the adults are.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. And yes, essential oils are safe for infants to any age. Literally, is the big thing with essential oils with kids and infants is just the dilution rate. When I say that is you just have to add more carrier oil and less oil. Because they're so potent and so pure, you don't need as much to have the medicinal benefits of those products, right? Diffusers are very safe, right? As long as you're not putting the entire bottle in there, there's a little bit of common sense that has to go with it. And that's part of the education that we help guide our customers with, is that we now help them and self-educate, and they can find a lot of information with these products, right? We have a huge network of people, right? We have over 60,000 people on our team, right? There's a reason why things are working. There's a reason why there's 9.8 million people using these essential oils around the world.
Yeah.
Because they work. They work effectively. They work quickly. And they're not super expensive. And it's way better for the environment. Remember all those toxins we're talking about? Where do you think they end up? Right? They end up back in our earth. Where do we grow our food? Right? Yeah, they're not using pesticides or any of this stuff, but people, they're in our soils, they're in our water, right? So one is it's bad for the environment. Two is it's way better for you and healthier for you, and it's way cheaper. What we use to clean our house now for all the moms and dads that clean, which most of us do, is literally vinegar and water and essential oils. And then the question is, are they antibacterial? Absolutely, right? There's tests that show this stuff, and it's safe for kids. Look at all the infants crawling around all the ground. Where they put their hands? Right to their mouth. So all those cleaning solutions, all the chemicals you're using, they're taking internally. Same thing with our animals, right? Think about this. It's so crucial.
I'm glad you're laying this out, because I think most people have been so busy doing their day-to-day that they don't recognize the smaller details of what it is that they're doing. And it's not something that people are doing deliberately. It's something that, you know, it's just part of like that forward movement of life, and, you know, you're just caught up in your stuff. So, you know, be gentle on yourself if you're out there listening to this and thinking, oh my goodness, what have I been doing to my family? Like, sometimes it's just a matter of, you know, just having someone share with you what that means and what it looks like, and opening up the doors and the details, which why, Scott, this was so important to have this conversation with you, because I just know so many people don't have the awareness of what this really means. And I'm just so appreciative that we had this opportunity to really dive into some of these details. And I'm just so glad that, you know, your wife is doing well and your family is benefiting from all of this, and everyone can benefit from it. That is really what it comes down to. I know for myself, I use essential oils, for different things, especially for myself. Like I intuitively, just growing up with my grandparents, have always been raised with, that less is more, that concept of less is more. So like my grandmother, like you were using the vinegar and water, that was her go-to. I mean, we had bottles of that in the kitchen. We had a bottle in the bathroom. We had, one up in by the tub. I mean, there was always those natural ingredients. Baking soda was a big one. Some of
You
these
do that
like,
too with a scrubbing agent, right? So if you need something to
yeah,
scrub the tiles with, you just add some
yeah,
baking soda into your vinegar and water, and you just add some essential oils. Like I hate the smell of vinegar. It's like, oh, right?
yeah,
It's like, oh, vomit. Open the windows.
yeah,
The good thing with essential oils is you can change the different aroma for what you want,
yeah.
right? And reap those benefits. So it's so funny and it's great. It's awesome. It's great for mood management. Like,
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to say. Like with, growing up in an environment where we had a very organic diet, it was like if you needed energy, you would grab an orange or a tangerine or some sort of citrus to build up your energy level, and that helps create the focus as well. And sometimes, in my working day, it's like, okay, I feel that 2 o'clock slump. I'm going to, put like some, and, like a orange or some citrus in my diffuser just to help kind of bring that up for me. But it is amazing, how the human body is and how we can heal ourselves and how we can do things differently. And I know with the way of the world right now, everyone has this heaviness that they're feeling because the world is heavy right now. It's just heavy with a lot of political, environmental stuff, and then you've got, the spaces that we're living in around the globe with the environment, the foods that we're putting into our bodies that we really don't even know what some of these ingredients are, which is upsetting. And, part of it is like, what can you trust? What do you trust? Who do you trust? There's a lot of questions around that. So I think, this conversation today, it really does help allow people to give permission to take a step back and maybe reevaluate how they're living and maybe make it more simple, because even in your home, as you mentioned, Scott, you look around your home and the products in your home, many of them may not be natural products, especially if you purchased a new sofa recently, like the chemicals that the sofa is loaded with and the off-gassing and all of what's going into the air with that, or even a new mattress. I mean, there's so many things, like you can smell the toxins as soon as it comes in.
there's a whole documentary on that.
Yeah.
There's a documentary on Netflix. It's called Stink. Watch that documentary. Exactly what you're talking about is in clothes that we put on our kids that are made from overseas, right? That are made here. Doesn't matter. It keeps them fresh. What the heck is that?
Right. Right.
It is a real thing for sure.
Yeah. And even, you talk about the clothes. Like I remember as a little girl, like we had play clothes and then we had, like a set of clothes that we would go out in, but we didn't have this crazy closet full of clothes, right? It was very like streamlined as far as the wardrobe was concerned. And I look at the wardrobe today and, for women, it's like there's this constant rotation of style. And, it's like you have to keep up with whether the short or the pants are long or short, or, they go above the knee for the skirts or below the knee, like all of these things. And it's this one season, quote unquote, one season wear is really hurting everyone, as far as the environment and your family and all of these things. So just being more conscientious, because a lot of these one season pieces of clothing, I mean, they're not made well and they rip or tear, and then you're putting them where? Back into, the planet, and that's not serving anything. So I think it's really interesting, the acceptance that people have had around that, and maybe this, whole pandemic will allow people to pull back a little bit and really, reevaluate what that looks like. So that would be a blessing to come from the pandemic, I think. Any
Absolutely.
final thoughts, Scott, around?
No, I just want to try to give people light that there is ways to help with physical, mental, and emotional traumas that people are dealing with. It doesn't have to be out of the gate going down the medication route right away. Some people just may need it, which is okay. But let's try to avoid that if possible, and let's be proactive, right? Let's get at some of these things. Get your gut health under control, right? Your gut is your second brain, right? So we need to treat that and help support that as much as humanly possible. So with those three things, we know that inflammation in our body we can reduce. That's in our self-control. We can use essential oils aromatically, topically, and internally safely to help build and support our body systems from the emotional, mental, and physical traumas. We know and we know scientifically that it works. And we know that EMFs are real. We know that we can actually buy products that are natural, that are going to help our body and our nervous system get back to the Schumann resonance and grounding and earthing that we talk about a lot. Yeah. That's the base of it. Like if you do those three things in life, that's a recipe for success. Like I truly, honestly feel that, and our family is living that story, literally.
Yeah, and I love the testimony of your family because it's just so beautiful, and I'm just so, like I said, so grateful that you're sharing this with the world today. It's so powerful. I do have a final question for you. I ask all of my guests. So if I were to pick up your Earth Angel feather off of the ground and you had a message for the world, what would your message be?
Self-directed healthcare is something that we need to work on as a society. We need it more than ever. And everything that we spoke about today needs to be pushed around the world because we can control our destiny more than anybody else. It's one word, one voice. We need to take care of our health. Without our health, what are we? Right? You can have billions of dollars. You're dead tomorrow. Where's your billions of dollars? Mm-hmm. Right? It's our health. It's our happiness. It's that there to me is that feather needs to be pushed out as far as possible.
Yeah. And I agree, especially with the unconventional childhood I had and just knowing what it did for me. And I know our bodies are just really wired to heal themselves on so many levels. And I know I've flagged a few of my podcasts for this, but I'm going to do it in this one as well because I just think it's really important given the times that we're living in. If anyone listening is suicidal and you need mental health support, please, please, please go to your community, emergency room practitioners, whoever are there that can serve you to help you, because this podcast is not meant to fix anything like that for you. This Absolutely. Is really about about your human self, but the mental health of it. If you are suicidal, please get yourself that support.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you have that in around the world in all areas of the globe. So please do that for yourself. It's so important. But Scott, I again thank you so much for being here today, sharing this powerful, amazing message, and I'm just so grateful. So thank you again so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And my name again is Catherine Daniels. This is Retreat to Peace, and I'm just reminding you to always live your authentic life with peace. And as always, retreat to peace, and we'll see you next time.